Everyone ready?
Okay.
Alright, cool. How long does it take to develop new anti-neutrinos or anti-neutrino detectors?
We have the technology now. It's a question of implementation.
A question of implementation, so we don't have to research or develop these anti-neutrinos?
No, we already have those detectors. Our argument is that those detectors are necessary to detect anti-neutrinos that could
Sure, but there's still a building process, right?
There's an implementation process. We would drop detectors into the ocean.
Ebonics argument. Why are ebonics and black language necessary to interrogate anti-blackness as it relates to China?
Right, so the specific piece of evidence we read talks about the way in which we can formulate ways of culture and language to challenge European white norms within society that dislocate the language of black.
The specific articulation of the Wilson cards is that Chinese actualities and realities are constructed through old imaginings from a Chinese perspective.
Yeah, I know. I read that card.
No
The
one lets
last
us
part that you read.
the world to a black person.
I got a different question.
All of the states that Democrats have a huge majority in and currently are doing so, as well as D.C. and Florida, she will win the election because of the way Democrats
so you're saying your evidence doesn't say 6th election, it just says the states that she's ahead in right now?
It says 18 states she's ahead.
Because of a warrior culture and the hyperboles analogous to the ones you've read in your evidence.
If there is a warrior culture where from day one when a soldier enters the army, it has been drilled to them that illness is weakness, how does simply ending surveillance end that warrior culture?
Because it allows them to go to the doctor with confidentiality and ensure that they can get their treatment without other people.
How does going...
Well, in 6th grade, my mom kind of forced me into a public speaking class, and I didn't really want to do it because, you know, I was swimming and I wanted to hang out with my friends. And then I kind of got into it. I won my first tournament in expository. I won my first tournament in expository, and I just thought, you know, maybe I'd stick around. And then 2 months later, Scott Wheeler was hired at Kudos, and he kind of convinced me to join Public Forum. So I went into debate, and after a couple years, I kind of fell in love with the activity. And in 8th grade, I transitioned to policy debate, and I've been doing that since.
You guys good?
Yeah.
On the count of unfold, we conceded the link that we're the professor challenger, but we impact turned what you said first. You conceded Bostrom 3, which is extended to 1AR. You're not responsive to the 2NR. It links to your counterplan because you say that progress is good, but where's you critique progress? You're saying that progress is bad, but my evidence talks about how progress is good because we solve for innovation. That means it solves for warming, and all the bad problems in the world means the affirmative solves better than the counterplan. Also, you.
When I first came to Penn, I wanted to continue with policy debate because I had a lot of success in middle school, but Penn didn't really have a policy program, so I wasn't really sure what to do. There was also another great debater on the team, or so I heard. His name was Raam, and I thought that he would be a great partner because he was really good at debate, but he was already kind of interested in Lincoln Douglas because he'd been doing it for so long. But he decided to give a shot, and after a couple tournaments, he eventually came around, and we decided to partner for the next 4 years.
Second is that logic and reasoning are the only way we can escape an otherwise infinite regress. We could keep asking the question why, until we have a reason. To then ask why would ask a reason to act for a reason, which concedes that the reason has authority.
He tends to get a lot more serious and intense in the debate, and that's sort of the ethos that he adopts when he goes into each round. And to me, I kind of keep a little, not necessarily lighthearted, but I try to incorporate humor wherever possible. And I think that sort of juxtaposition, it's interesting, and I think it makes this fun to watch.
To me, getting to a bid round my freshman year was equivalent to almost winning the tournament, and it wasn't just like once we got to that round, I felt good. There was a lot of fear. There was a lot of pressure to be successful. I think that changed our junior year. We started getting into deeper elimination rounds and started getting more bids to the Tournament of Champions. Now we don't really notice when we get to a bid round, and the goal is about winning the tournament, and not necessarily the bid rounds.
I'd say the biggest highlight has to be the Montgomery Bell Academy tournament, which is It's a somewhat small but highly exclusive tournament in Nashville. Our junior year, we had lost in the top 8 of every tournament going into the second semester. And then the first tournament of the second semester, which is the Montgomery Bell tournament, we finally won. And it was kind of our big break. And after that, we routinely were reaching the semifinals or finals and moving beyond that barrier that we had struggled so hard to breach for so long. And it sort of set a momentum for not only the rest of the year, but the rest of our career. And it felt like it was somewhat cathartic, and just breaking that glass ceiling was a lot of fun. This year, we won it again, and that made us the only team in history to win it twice. So that record-setting moment to me meant a lot, and it was nostalgic but new at the same time, which was it was just a lot of emotions and a lot of hard debates, and the tournament went on until 1 a.m. on the last day, and we flew out the next morning, and it was a fantastic experience, and I don't think I've been happier at any moment in my life.
So it was the Berkeley tournament. There was a round robin before that, and the tournament was really important to us because it was really big and we wanted to win it. And basically a lot of people call it the tournament of the West Coast. So if you win it, you're pretty much the best team in the West Coast. So it was really important to us. During the round robin, however, I got really sick, I think with the stomach flu. So we struggled through that. We managed to win it, and we thought, maybe the nightmare was over because I was starting to recover. But then Raam got it, and on the first day of the Cal tournament, Raam was throwing up everywhere, and I kind of had to, just like how he helped me through the round robin, I had to help him through the first day of the tournament. And I started losing hope, thinking that maybe we wouldn't get far in that tournament because we were both really sick, weren't really prepared that well, we were off our game, but we ended up going 6-0 in prelims and undefeated throughout prelims, and ended up winning the tournament, only dropping 1 ballot.
There was often a lot of pressure put on us just because our junior year was a really exceptional year as juniors. We won the national championship and the state championship, and for a short while we snagged the #1 spot in the country. So going into senior year, it was almost like we were expected not to lose at all. And when we did, everybody would be in the halls talking. You couldn't get a moment to yourself without someone asking you what happened, and a lot of times it would feel like the sky is falling. It could have been easy to just become complacent had the quality of debates not risen, but every debate now, it's the other team's highlight of the year. It's their coaches have stayed up all night putting together case nags, or they have a new AF against us, or they've done all their updates just for this debate. So we have to bring 110% to every round because that's exactly what everyone else is doing. And if you slack off a little bit, you really run the risk of losing debates that you shouldn't be losing, which can be frustrating. But I really like being pushed. It makes you better, and playing a game where it's easy to win, or it's not, that it suddenly becomes less rewarding. And that new challenge, that every debate suddenly became harder from last year, was a great experience.
Thus, we have proven that surveillance increases a suicide rate. It is ethically indefensible and meets their presumption framing. But even if we can directly answer their presumption framing, it is bad because it is illogical. The negative no longer has to contest whether the AF is a good idea and results in less class.
I'm looking forward to coaching Peninsula next year. A lot of times kids that move on to the college level, they'll stay working with their alma mater. And when Jerry and I started, we didn't have any alums, so often it was just Jerry and I sitting in a room, and there'd be a school with 15 people all badgering us, and they're really working with their 2 kids to make sure that they're totally prepared for the debate. And now that we have a growing team, especially in the policy program specifically, it's really exciting. And moving on to that mentorship role and judging and coaching, it seems like a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I think the biggest misconception about debate is what it focuses on. Most people think that it's all about persuasion or talking pretty, and although that's some part of it, I think debate is more about deconstruction of arguments and kind of the interaction of arguments and maybe argumentation in general. Debate is more about deconstructing arguments, kind of the getting into the nuance or details of the resolution and what your opponents have said. It's less about persuasion, less about speaking pretty, but more about who actually wins the debate based on arguments and the interaction of arguments.
I'll be around for another 4 years. I'm debating at Dartmouth in the fall, so that'll be a lot of fun. New people, new environment, new challenges. I'm really looking forward to that. And even if I kind of take the foot off the gas in debate, everything I've learned would be so incredibly useful, because any paper you write, any presentation you give, any research assignment you do is ultimately just debate in a different form, in a less pure form, but debate nonetheless. And debate has trained me in so many ways, and I'm indebted to this activity for a vast majority of my success, not only in academics, but in competition and in my relationships with other people.
And the National Policy Champion team will receive the Harlan B. Mitchell Trophy, named after the association's legendary debate coach. Placing second with a 9-4 decision for the affirmative, in second place are Vinay Achapan and Neeru Prabhu from Bellarmine College Prep, California, coached by Aaron Langerman and Hoon Ko. They're too fast. And with a 9-4 decision by the affirmative, the national champions in policy debate, each receiving a $1,000 scholarship and receiving the Harlan B. Mitchell Trophy, are Raam and Jerry Wang from Palos Verdes Peninsula High School in California, coached by Scott Wheeler.
We got to the semifinals of the Tournament of Champions last year, and after a small technical mistake, we lost the semifinals. So this year we're kind of hungry to win the tournament. Also, we won the national championships last year, and no intact team has ever won the national championships twice. So we're looking to cement our legacy in history by winning this year's national championship. Hey Raam.
No, it's good. It's good. The red light's on, right? It's not blinking.
Hey Raam, can you hear this?
Yeah, I hear this. Ah!